And why don't we have the thing that the lockdown was supposed to be delivering?
Well, we should have had it sorted and in the bottom drawer ready to go from 2015 onwards. I mean, a newly emerging human pandemic risk has been on the risk register certainly since that time. I mean, I attended a conference in Malta in 2015. It was being talked about then. But the reason I think why we don't have the testing sorted, you mentioned Germany. You talk about Germany quite a lot. And over there, they're using a system called pool testing. Independent Sage were talking about that in their briefing on Friday. The Economist was writing about it in September. I think Nature was writing about it at the end of July. Have you heard about the system?
Possibly under a different name. I've had Germany's system explained to me, but I don't know the nomenclature. But feel free to educate all of us. So,
in group or pool testing, what you do is put together samples of maybe 10 people into one test, and you have a B sample like you do with dope testing in. This is one way of doing it. You have a B sample in dope testing with athletes, and if you get one positive result out of that 10, you then do 11 tests.
Right.
But because we've still got a relatively low prevalence of the virus in the population, if you get a negative test and then you get a negative test, you've done 2 tests for 20 people. And obviously that's a lot faster than doing 20 tests.
Yes.
There's an Israeli company that's developed a system where it's more complicated, but you can test 48 people at one time.
Wow.
And you mix the samples together in a certain way so that you get an individual pattern results at every positive test. So you end up only doing one set of tests for 48 people. So it would, it's being used in Germany, it's been used in Singapore,
all of which
India,
have better statistical records than us, I think.
Absolutely,
on a national
it's been
scale,
used in
Africa,
on a public health they've got far fewer
cases,
resources over there.
Briefly, number one, why do you know so much about this?
I'm a parliamentary candidate for the Green Party, and my wife's a research scientist.
Fine. Qualifications. It's not mystery hour yet, but you've just gone definitive. And I don't think you get a round of applause. That wouldn't be inappropriate. That wouldn't be appropriate. And number two, just answer, you kind of have, but answer it directly. Why haven't we got this, do you think? What's your view?
I think that it's because they outsourced it to the private sector instead of staying with public health experts.
So that's ideological then? They just because this whole government is built upon the idea that the public sector is bad and the private sector is good. So coupled with English exceptionalism. So the idea that we will be able to do something better than the rest of the world, even though we can't tell you what it is.
I think it also goes back to austerity, so that rather than paying for something which might be a little bit expensive, I don't think it costs 12 billion quid, but you have to explain why you're having this thing which you might never use.
Yeah.
And then updating it constantly, because apps do get updated constantly with new OS systems and all the rest of it. It's probably something that, given the history of government IT programs, they weren't that keen to do. So it became.
But they could have done it here. They could, with this thing, with the figures coming in and the pictures from Italy, they could have actually got something huge over there. Look at Donald Trump today. He's actually promoting socialised medicine in America, but his followers are too thick to realise it. It's quite incredible. Free medicine for everybody. So lying about the medicine and then introducing quasi-Marxist rationales for it. But as I say, it's too late for many people there to realise what's going on. So to paraphrase, austerity plus, I suppose we'd have to call it neoliberalism, but a fetishisation of the private sector is perhaps a better way of doing it. Austerity plus fetishisation of private sector plus political incompetence equals absence of test and trace system as we head towards a second spike.